Hello students, greetings of the day. Hope you are doing well and safe at home. In the previous series of lectures on file handling, I hope you must have gone through the set of concepts that we discussed, that is related to the file, the functions associated with it, the different functions such as fopen, fclose, different modes, then fgetC, fputC, fgetS, fputS, that is to write a character, write a string, read a string, write a string, and so on. And you must have also practiced those sessions. Apart from that, we also had set of special sessions on lab related exercises, which could be more handy for you to visualize the programs which are given in the lab. So that was the unit 3. Now today we will try to start with unit 4, which is totally different from what we have been understanding as far as the language is concerned. Of course the concept remains same, much of the concepts, and this is all about the Python. That is Introduction to Python, which is unit 4 divided into unit 4 and unit 5. So before going into the aspects of Python, let us understand that what is C language. You know very well that C is a high level and middle level language, wherein it is most of the time we say it is a structured programming language. This structured programming language is a concept you need to understand it thoroughly. You know it from the basic feature point of view. Of course, when you try to differentiate with respect to Python, Python has a mixed features of all these languages. Like nowadays we talk about object-oriented languages. So Python combines the features of structured programming languages as well as the object-oriented languages. Now with this, let us try to go into the brief history of Python. Now if you look at the history of Python, it says that way back in 1989, a person named Guido van Rossum parallelly created this language when he was trying to develop another language called as ABC. This is of course a scripting language, and the shortcomings, the weaknesses of ABC were added into, overcome, they were patched up and overcome into Python. And in around 1991 the first version was released. Now there is another subtle difference, important difference, that is between a C language and this. C language we had a compiler, and you already know the difference between interpreter and compiler, but still few lines I should say that Python is an interpreted high level programming language and it is used for a general purpose programming. We'll be seeing the difference. Again, I have a special slide for that. And of course why it became very popular was the code which was written was more readable, that is it added readability. Then it was very short, brief, the code was very terse. So this is a terse syntax. Unlike C language, like we had to write a C language, then we must start with hash include, then void or int main, then brackets, then left curly brace, then declaration and all that. So you need not worry about all this in Python, because Python is syntax free as far as if you compare with C language. And that allows to programmers to express concepts in fewer lines of code, and the program which you need to write, since you are free from syntax, you can write only few lines of code to express what you want to say. And apart from this, the Python uses spaces. So this is the last thing that you need to remember, is significant white spaces. Of course it does not ask you to put the syntactically as far as the characters are concerned, wherein we used curly brace, brackets every time, but here we need to be more worried about the spaces. that is tab spacing. There is a key on the keyboard that is tab key you can make use of most of the time, so that you can align the code, and it is very much particular or sensitive. The interpreter is sensitive to white spaces. Of course, we'll be seeing this while writing the program. Now let us see what are the different features of Python language or Python as far as features are concerned. The dynamic type system and automatic memory management. Now when it is said that it is dynamic type system, now what is the meaning of a dynamic and static or compile time? Now in C language, if I want to declare a variable which can store a value 10, then I should declare it as an integer. What comes to my mind is an integer. So I will say that int space x equals 10. But here I need not do that. I just have to say x equals 10, and it is the headache of the Python, that Python will take care of whether it has to be converted to integer or whether it has to be converted to the appropriate type. So this is how another thing that comes into picture, that is dynamic. Even if that same x is given double quotes ABC double quotes complete, then it will automatically convert that x to string. Again, you need not tell the compiler, so it will automatically sense it and it will convert to its required type. We'll be seeing those examples. And next, second point is automatic memory management. When it is said that it is automatic memory management, you should know that C compiler or C language has dynamic memory management, wherein the programmer, it is the programmer's headache to free the memory, that is using different functions such as alloc, malloc, realloc and free. Otherwise it may lead to memory leak problem. This is very well known in C language. But in case of the Python, it is automatically taken care and you need not worry. So internally memory will be automatically managed in the heap area, of course, the same heap area, by the Python modules which are running in the background. Apart from that, it supports multiple programming paradigms, object oriented, functional and procedural. So it has support for different models of programming. It has cross compatibility, that is, if I am writing a code in one language, let us say I am writing in C++, then I can use that code, Python code in C++, or I can use that C++ code in Python. Similarly, if I write a code in Java, I can use that code in Python, or Python code in Java. So there is a lot of support as far as the languages are concerned. So apart from this, we have object oriented. So you know that nowadays we talk about the trend of languages is towards the object oriented. The entire world is moving towards object oriented programming, and hence this also has the object oriented features, all those features of object oriented: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. Of course, we are not going into the deeper aspects. We just understand that it has the support for object oriented functionality, functional and procedural also. So procedural, you know it very well that you can write different procedures as far as the different modules are concerned. Apart from that, you have a support, that is, it gives you a lot of support as far as standard library is concerned. And this point needs to be understood clearly. It is a comprehensive standard library. It is not a ordinary library that is available with the Python. Right from simple mathematical support like sqrt you had used, math library, mat.h, string.h and so on. Apart from these simple functions, it has a support for scientific applications, it has a support for artificial intelligence, it has support for business applications, it has support for machine learning, you name it and it is there. So it is a very comprehensive library that you can make use of. Even data scientists or data science also uses a lot of libraries. So all those that support is available with Python, and hence it is a comprehensive standard library. Now let us see the difference between, what is the difference between interpreter and a compiler? Now interpreter, you know very well from the understanding from the first semester, you have already understood the differences, you have gone through it. Now you know the best example is C compiler itself. C is a compiler, C uses a compiler, and in compiler what happens? You have different stages there. The source code is taken and given to the compiler, it converts to the object code, and then object code is converted to the exe code. Now what does this mean? That is, whenever the code is error free, then only it will get converted to object code, and then finally it will get converted to exe or a binary code, which is executable code by the machine. But unlike compiler, the Python is an interpretive language or a high level interpretive language. What does it mean is, it will take the code line by line. It will take that line, execute it, that is converted directly to the machine, and then only it will go to the next line. If there is an error in the next line, it will come to know only after reaching that line and not before. Whereas in case of compiler, whatever number of errors are there, it will immediately show you while compilation phase itself. And this is the difference between a compiler and an interpreter. So we have other languages also, like Java, PHP, Ruby, Basic, Perl, JavaScript, and many more, VBScript. Basic was a very beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code, which was the very first language that was invented. Then later on, so many languages like prehistoric processing, which is used popularly for website developments. Ruby Rail is another scripting language. Java, you know it very well. There is a Java virtual machine, and so on. So this is how the interpretive languages became popular, and we had so many other languages. And this made it what the purpose was, to make high level language simpler for humans, and similarly it becomes easier for the computers to process. And the third point, which says that it is the actual hardware inside the central processing unit which does not understand any of these high languages. So why this point is shown to you is, you should know that you write any language, hardware does not understand your language. It can only understand the machine language, that is the language of zeros and ones. So it is the headache of the compiler, or it could be the headache of the interpreter, that it needs to translate the code into the machine language of zeros and ones, and then only your machine will be able to interpret or make some sense out of it. Now the CPU understands the machine language, that's what I said. So it will understand only zeros and ones. So because if somebody tells you that why don't you write a machine language, of course it's simple to write zeros and ones, but it is very difficult, that is tiresome. It is not a very handy, simple enough to code. Zeros and ones you can understand, but it becomes very boring or complex to keep on writing and figuring out what exactly each instruction means. So apart from this, of course, programs written in high level languages are portable. What is the meaning of portable is, I write a code here on one computer, one computer, let us say Intel machine, and take that code to any other country, let us say US, Japan, or any other European country. My code should be able to execute on that computer, and that is what is the meaning of portability. And this Python certainly offers the portability features, as long as you have an interpreter on that machine. That is, wherever you are taking your code, that machine should have the interpreter of that particular machine, that environment, and it will interpret your code. So automatically it will be converted to the machine language, or you can try to recreate the code on that machine. So that is also possible, that you can also enhance the portability. So that finally meaning is, you can carry your code from one system to another system easily. So with this note, let us try to understand what are the different softwares which are available as for the installations or for Python. Now Python interpreters are available for many operating systems. It is not restricted only to your Windows. It is available under Windows, it is available on Linux and Mac OS and so on. So C Python is open source software and has a community based development model. This is another thing, that is, it's open source. It is freely available. People can go and develop their modules or the add-on to the modules, and it is based on the community based development. There is a certain community of people, developers, who have come together and they have created this community based development model. and of course it is managed by a non-profit Python software foundation. This is another important thing. So there is no intention of making money. So this is a non-profit Python software foundation. Now the next question that bothers is, how do I install this, or which are the sites? So very nicely listed out here for you. You can see that there are a lot of options for you, but there are certain situations. Please remember this important discussion, because you may land up into different heavy softwares, and later on you may repent saying that, sir, this is too slow running, and so on. So what you can do is, the first two categories are very lightweight softwares. These are for the, of course, free Python softwares. One is Jenny, that is 0.19.3, or you can download the latest version by going to the link https www.python.org, and similarly you can visit Thonny Python, that is integrated development environment for beginners, using www.thonny.org. Both of these are lightweight, and I will be using Thonny, and I will be showing you how to install Thonny also. Apart from this, those people who are interested in professional development or going for community development or developers, then you can make use of these two links, PyCharm and Anaconda. So PyCharm will allow you to install this professional version using through the site jetbrains.com/PyCharm, or Anaconda Python 3 version, or more than 3 you also will get for a 64-bit Windows at anaconda.com, where there is a specific module of that. Anaconda is it has a spider, so you can make use of this spider also, but it's quite a heavy software. So I would suggest for you, as a beginners, you can make use of these two links, one of these two links. So with this note, let us try to see what are the different applications for Python. Some real world applications: web and internet development, desktop GUI applications you can develop, then science and numeric software development, education and e-learning, lot of e-learning projects you can develop, database access, even network programming, games and 3D graphics. Apart from this, of course, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data scientist, all these applications, you name it and the application is there, and the world is slowly converging to Python. So there are vast number of applications you can make use of, or you can try to develop your skills so that you can find a better opportunity, or you can pursue your career as a Python programmer. So with this note, what I will do is, I will try to show you, that is the installation of Python in Windows in the few seconds. That is, I have already downloaded this version for Windows called as Thonny 3.2.7. So let us go to that downloaded version and click it and see how it installs it into our drive. So you can see here in the downloads I have Thonny 3.2.7, or you can go to these websites. We have different, I opened the first page of the website. This is for your python.org. This is your Thonny, that is thonny.org. This is your PyCharm, that is JetBrains, and you have Anaconda also here, that is anaconda.com. So let us go to the Thonny, that is the installation here. Double click this and it will start the installation. So it is asking you to give the permission to run, and now let us go to the next, accept the arguments, accept the agreement, and then it will ask me the path. So I don't want to install it in C drive. I will try to go with D drive. So what I have done is, I have taken only D drive, that is D/program Thonny, and then next, and then create a desktop icon, and then next, and install. So this will install the software. So it has installed it and it says great success, and now you can say finish and go to the desktop. So on the desktop there is a Thonny here. You can double click this and you can see that the editor opens and you can write your programs here. So in this editor, let us say we will try to say print the first thing, that is without any syntax. I'll just show you quickly one line and then we'll close the session. So I have added a line here, print brackets double quotes, welcome to the Python world of programming. Nothing else, no semicolon, nothing. I just run this and I see that I get the message here, welcome to the Python world of programming. So we'll continue this session, of course, in the next set of series of lectures, and we'll try to have better understanding of the code and the related programs. So I hope this session was clear enough as far as the introduction is concerned. Thank you. Have a good day and safe day.